Assalamualaikum and hi. So my name is Muhammad Nazir Zuhair and I am from tutorial 3 group 4. So in today's video, our group will be discussing about chapter 12, which is understanding leadership, and also will be specifically discuss about these two case study. The first one is success theatre at General Electric, and the second one is developing Genoa leaders. But before we get into the discussion, let me introduce to you guys our group members. So, my name is Nazif, and here we got Irfan, Haziq, Farhan. And for the second row, we got Danish, Manesh, Benedict, and Naim. And for the last four, we got Vimal, Anggun, Arid, and also Afiq.
Thank you for the introduction. Now we're going to discuss about the definition of leadership, and discuss why managers should become a leader. The definition of leader refers to someone who can influence others and has the managerial authorities, while leadership refers to the process of leading a group and influencing that group to achieve the organizational goals. Today, I'm going to share with everyone regarding one greatest leader's background, which Brian Chesky, CEO of Abbott and Breakfast. He's a graduate from Silicon Valley and had a brilliant idea after one of his roommates suddenly moved out in 2008, leaving him with an empty rooms. So the idea is a home sharing platform now known as Abbott and Breakfast. In 2017, the company revenues over 2.6 billion and its profit is 93 million. Through the ability of Chesky to lead the company, the CEO of the company has achieved its success. And also, in 2017, he was named as one of the Fortune's world greatest leaders. And now we're going to discuss about why managers should become a leader. Managers should be a leader because leading is one of the four managerial functions, which planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Effective management requires the ability to lead people. This includes influencing, motivating, guiding individuals or teams to achieve its organizational goals. Even though not all leaders are in management position, but managers who have lack of leadership ability are unlikely to be effective. Leadership should ensure that the manager is not just executing the process, but is also inspiring and aligning team efforts towards strategic objectives.
Different leaders may behave differently due to the difference in environment that they are managing. There are a few alternatives of leadership styles that can be applied by managers. University of Iowa recognized 3 leadership styles, which are democratic, autocratic, and also laissez-faire. These styles allows employees to participate in the decision-making process and incorporate their ideas. However, leaders are the ones who make the final decision. There are a few benefits, which are various range of ideas, complicated problems can be solved collectively, and also promote job satisfaction. These styles is suitable when employees are experienced, which means the members have diverse insight, skills, and knowledge. Next, when there's enough time in order to reach consensus. And lastly, in order to increase job satisfaction as their opinions are being heard. In autocratic leadership, a single leader makes decisions with minimum or without the intervention of other subordinates. This style requires quick decision making, strict control, clear chain of command, and limited input from the group members. Leaders are required to use this style during crisis, time-sensitive projects, or when the subordinates are not experienced enough to tackle the problems. For example, Steve Jobs was known for his autocratic leadership regarding product development and also the goals of Apple brands. Lastly, laissez-faire, which provide minimum guidance and allow subordinates to have a high degree of autonomy and freedom to make decisions. This style is useful for an experienced team, creative and innovative environment, and to promote personal development and also self-motivation. For example, this leadership is useful in healthcare sector when the expertise of medical officers are higher compared to the managers. The medical staff are given freedom in decision to serve the patient.
my name is Danish. For my question is, leaders are born, not made. Do you agree with this statement? Why or why not? I do not agree with this statement. Leadership is not solely based on inborn traits. While some individuals may naturally possess qualities that make leadership easier, such as confidence or charisma, effective leadership is largely developed through learning, experience, and practice. Let's look at a few ideas that support this. Firstly, it's true that certain personal traits are often linked to leadership, but traits alone don't guarantee success. In fact, many people who have these traits never become leaders, and many successful leaders don't have this all. This shows that leadership is not just about who you are born as, but what you do with the skills you develop. Secondly, leadership is about behavior, by how a person can communicate, motivate, make decisions, and handle challenges. These are not fixed traits, they are skills that can be learned, improved, and mastered through experience. Thirdly, great leaders know how to adapt. Leadership is not the same in every situation. A good leader adjusts their approach depending on the people they are leading and the circumstances they faces. That kind of flexibility comes through growth and learning, not something you are simply born with. Finally, modern leadership approaches focus on the ability to inspire others, set goals, and build commitment. These these are advanced leadership qualities that take time to build and improve. They don't come naturally to everyone, but they can be developed. In conclusion, leadership is not just an inborn trait. It's a combination of personal growth, leader skills, and adaptability. With the right mindset and effort, leaders are made, not born.
So moving on to the next question, which is 12-4. A leader effectiveness depends on their followers' ability. Which theory claim this and why? So basically, the story holds that a leader change of style goes according to the readiness level of the followers, wherein such readiness goes down to their willingness and ability to carry out a task. So the first one is when followers are unwilling and unable. The leader must instruct and supervise closely by telling. The second one is followers are willing and unable, making it incumbent upon the leader to give support and direction to selling. The third one is the followers are able but unwilling, which the leader need to motivate and involve the followers in decision making by participating. The fourth one is able and willing. The followers will operate well under delegation, giving the leader where to manage. So thus the theory assumes that the success of the leader depends not only upon his own skill but upon how well he understands the need of his followers and respond to using the wrong leadership style can lead to poor result. However, it also can experience the leader to become more and better leader.
Hello everyone, my name is Meredith Angelo, and I'm going to present about a question that states, do you think that most managers in real life use a contingency approach to increase their leadership effectiveness? Discuss. However, before that, I'm going to explain first what is a contingency theory or approach. So this is an organizational theory that claims that there is no best way to organize a corporation, to lead a company, or to make decisions. Instead, the optimal course of action is dependent or contingent upon the internal and external situation of the organization. Contingent leaders are flexible in choosing to adapt the strategies to suit the situation in the company. There are a few examples of this, such as the Least Preferred Coworker Questionnaire, LPC, situational leadership theory, SLT, or the leader participation model. So to answer this question, I would say yes, because every situation is unique according to the continuity approach theory. To be effective, leaders should be able to fit their leadership style to fit the specific needs of their team members, tasks, and organizational goals. This is the true essence of the continuity approach. And other than that, there's also a recent study by the Open Access Library Journal that states that flexibility in leadership is crucial to success, especially in complex environments. This really applies in the organization because there are many complex environments in the organization. Let's look at the real world example about this theory. So when Satya Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft in 2014, he transformed the company's culture from being highly competitive and individualistic to focus on collaboration and continuous learning. So how do we apply this story? So we can apply this story in this example by using the PAT goal model according to the table or mind map here. So in terms of leader behavior, Nadella used a supportive style of leadership by encouraging innovation and input for all levels of the organization. In terms of the employee contingency factors, the Microsoft workforce is highly skilled and experienced, meaning they highly require and implement the autonomy and respect in the company. In terms of the environmental contingency factors, the company is highly specialized in rapid innovation and competitive pressures to make flexibility and employee empowerment essential. So, what is the outcome of this? Nadella's leadership led to increased employee satisfaction and performance, making Microsoft one of the world's most valuable companies. Moving on, what are the benefits of this approach? So, one of the benefits is that it has improved team performance and morale. According to a recent research by Duro, Barnes, and Morgenstern, it was stated that continuous approaches to leadership behavior led to better performance and higher morale of the employees. Moving on, another research stated that when leaders adapt to these employee characteristics, employee trust and engagement was boosted, and this can also improve the productivity of the employees in the organization.
Okay, so next, I will be covering question 12-11. So what does the number of senior FIFA executive being investigated say about the culture at FIFA? So I've highlighted three key issues regarding the culture at FIFA. The first point that I made is on lack of transparency. So FIFA have demonstrated this when an investigator, Michael Garcia, submit his 350-page report which detail about the corruption allegation. The organization deliberately suppressed the findings. So rather than releasing the full disclosure, they only released a misleading summary, which is a clear violation of governance best practices and public trust. So the second critical failure they did was the abuse of executive power. So evidence have shown that President Sepp Blatter and other senior officials engaged in unethical practices which include unauthorized payment to Michel Platini and manipulation of bidding processes. These were incidents that happened around the same time, thus proving that the leadership only viewed the organization as a medium to serve personal interests rather than the global football community. As for the last point, FIFA's governance framework proved to be ineffective at preventing or detecting these abuses. So the absence of proper oversight mechanism have allowed corruption to persist for decades. We can see this when structural change have only occurred after intervention by law enforcement, which highlight the organization inability to correct themselves.
I'm Vimal, and today I'll be answering question 1212, which is of the 8 suggestions for building trust, which one should FIFA have focused on the most? So I'll start by listing the 8 suggestions for building trust, as well as giving a very quick and simple explanation for each one. First is practice openness, be transparent and share information. Next is be fair, treat people objectively and fairly. Third is speak your feelings, be honest about emotions in order to build connections. Fourth is tell the truth. Even when it's uncomfortable, honesty builds credibility. Fifth is be consistent. Align actions with your values. Sixth is fulfill promises. Do what you say you'll do. Seventh is maintain confidences. Keep private information private. And eighth is demonstrate confidence. Show leadership ability and competence. Now, after considering all 8 suggestions, there are a few that can be applied to have helped FIFA. First off, would be telling the truth. FIFA misrepresented Garcia's findings. Being honest, even when it's uncomfortable, would have had help to maintain their credibility. Next is maintaining confidences. Mismanaging sensitive information the way FIFA did can destroy people's faith in leadership. But I believe the most important focus and what should be the main focus is practicing openness. Out of all the options, FIFA needed to follow the suggestion of practicing openness. You see, this is because FIFA refused to release Michael J. Garcia's full 350-page report on World Cup bidding corruption. Rather, they released a vague summary which Garcia himself said misrepresented his findings, making it look like FIFA had something to hide. By not being transparent, they created even more mistrust and suspicion from the public and their stakeholders. Had FIFA practiced openness by sharing full reports, explaining how their decisions were made, and by being honest about internal issues, they could have taken a big step towards rebuilding their trust with fans, sponsors, and member countries. So, how do we conclude this? While multiple suggestions could be applied to the situation, I believe the main focus should be on practicing openness, as that is what I believe FIFA needed the most. That's all from me. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Arid. I'm going to address question 1213 on what does the case say about Blatter's style of leadership. Well, from the case, Blatter's leadership style can be described as autocratic. He made key decisions alone, kept tight control over information, and didn't welcome input from others. For example, even when serious allegations were made about the World Cup bidding process, he didn't handle them openly or involve others in reviewing the issue. His approach also comes across as controlling, secretive, and not very transparent. When FIFA's own investigator, Michael Garcia, completed a 350-page report, the full report wasn't published. Instead, a short summary was released, which made people even more suspicious. Garcia even quit because he felt his findings were misrepresented. Blatter also seemed more focused on protecting his position than actually fixing the problems. Despite all the controversy, he still got re-elected in 2015, but then stepped down just 4 days later when things got worse. That shows he was more reactive than proactive, only acting when he absolutely had to. Overall, his leadership lacked accountability. He had too much power and didn't use it to create a culture of honesty or fairness within FIFA. In the end, this caused a major loss of trust in both him and the organization. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Manish Anilaki Nutrition. I'll be going over in question 12/14. In 2011, when asked about the crisis at FIFA around the rumors of financial irregularities, Blatter downplayed the allegation dismissively. Which of the 5 dimensions of trust do you think Blatter was failing to demonstrate here? Okay. The 5 dimensions of trust. Firstly, we have integrity, which is honesty and truthfulness. Then secondly, we have competency, which is technical and interpersonal knowledge and skills. Thirdly, consistency, which is reliability, predictability, and good judgment in handling situations. Sixth, openness, willing to share ideas and information freely. And lastly, loyalty, willingness to protect this and stand up for someone or something. Among the 5 dimensions of trust, which was failed to be displayed by Sepp Blatter, firstly, it was integrity. What are the evidence of the lack of integrity of Sepp Blatter's shortfall? Okay, firstly, he publicly dismissed well-sourced corruption claims such as noise. Secondly, he promised an internal investigation, but he took no decisive or transparent action. And then thirdly, he allowed the release of partial but selective summary of the Garcia report, which is a 350-page report, which misrepresented many facts. Consequently, stakeholders such as national associations, sponsors, also fans also question FIFA's moral compass, such as sponsors such as Coca-Cola, Visa, issued warnings about terminating their deals. The second dimension of trust, which was failed to be displayed by Sepp Blatter, which is openness. What the evidence of the lack of openness from Sepp Blatter? Firstly, he withheld the full Garcia report despite intense public interest. Secondly, he refused detailed explanation about voting irregularities for Russia and Qatar bids. And thirdly, he used dismissive languages such as move on or nothing to see that shut down further inquiries. Consequently, his perception that the senior leader was hiding something solidified. Whistleblowers were reluctant to come forward, hindering in internal oversight. Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the next question. For Infantino to succeed, what style of leadership do you think would be most effective? I believe the best leadership style for Infantino is transformational leadership. FIFA went through a major corruption scandal and people had lost trust in the organization. So, what FIFA really needs is a leader who can bring change and restore confidence. Infantino has to lead by example. That means being honest, open, and consistent in everything he does. He must clearly show that things are different now and that corruption will not be tolerated. A transformational leader can inspire both the staff and the public by creating a new vision for FIFA, one that focuses on fairness and transparency. If he communicates openly, includes others in decision making, and sticks to his values, he can win back the support of fans, players, and sponsors. In short, transformational leadership is about building trust through action. That's exactly what FIFA needs to move forward, and that's why it's the most effective style for Infantino to success.
Moving on, let's move on to the conclusion, which is the 10-point summary. One of the things that we can summarize in the case application is the trust crisis. FIFA's integrity was severely questioned following the several corruption scandals. The public, the football fans, and also the government lost trust of the organization. The crisis highlighted how damaging a loss of trust can be, especially for a global body responsible for the world's most popular sport. Next, we have high stakes. Football is more than entertainment. It's a billion-dollar industry. For example, Deloitte estimated that the English Premier League alone made 4.5 billion in 2006 to 2000 from 2016 to 2017, with expectation of 5 billion also in the next 2 years. With so much money at stake, transparency and good governance is very, very important, especially for an organization like FIFA. Next, we have controversial World Cup bids. The selection of Russia and Qatar as World Cup hosts sparked controversy. Allegations emerged about countries trading votes, which can also have serious doubts on the fairness of the process. For example, Sepp Blatter himself confirmed in 2011 that some deals had also occurred, leading to promises of an internal investigation. Next, internal investigation. To address the growing criticism in FIFA, they appointed Michael J. Garcia as an American attorney in 2012. He was able to independently investigate the bidding process for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups. This move meant to show how FIFA was taking corruption accusations seriously. Moving on, we have suppressed report. For example, Garcia submitted a thorough 350-page report in 2014. However, the FIFA's Ethics Committee refused to release the full report. Instead, they published a much shorter summary. Garcia resigned shortly after the summary misinterpreted his findings. This move backfired and only increased the public suspicion. Next, we have criminal investigations. In 2015, US authorities launched a major operation at the FIFA annual meeting in Zurich. 7 officials were arrested and a total of 14 individuals were charged in connection for over 150 million in bribes in dollars. These bribes spanned about 24 years and involved media rights and entertainment deals. Next is the leadership fallout. After the re-elected president in 2015, Sepp Blatter was forced to resign just 4 days amid the mounting legal and public pressure. Swiss prosecutors began investigating him for various financial irregularities, which includes an illegal payment to Michael Platini. Next, we have bans on officials. FIFA's Ethics Committee banned Blatter and Platini from football-related activities for 8 years in December 2015. These bans signals that FIFA was finally taking disciplinary action against its top leadership, although many saw it as too little or too late. Furthermore, we have new leadership. In 2016, Gianni Infantino was elected as the new FIFA's new president. His leadership came with a promise to reform and renewal. He was tasked with restoring FIFA's image, improving governance, and many more to improve the image of the organization. Lastly, we have reform and rebuilding. Under Infantino's leadership, FIFA introduced several reforms focused on transparency and accountability. This allowed them to have clearer financial reporting and limits on presidential terms. These changes were essential in repairing FIFA's damaged reputation and image to move forward as a more credible institution.
In my opinion, autocratic leadership was implemented by Ferguson. For example, the hairdryer treatment that was given to the players and the termination of the captain's contract when the teammates were publicly criticized. In addition, Ferguson's leadership style can also be described by the managerial grade. First is the high concern for production, which means the high degree of focus the leader emphasizes to achieve the task. For example, this can be shown by his pursuit of trophies and the emphasis on work ethics and also discipline. Next, high concern for people, which reflect the high degree to which the leaders consider the needs, interests, and also the well-being of their subordinates. For example, Ferguson implemented the individualized management style, knowing staff beyond the team, and also built a strong team culture.
Let's move to the next question. Here, I have listed 6 leadership traits that has been depicted by Sir Alex Ferguson as the manager of Manchester United for 26 years. First is visionary thinking. Sir Alex Ferguson had a clear long-term vision for the club, which included changing the culture and professionalism. He wasn't focused only on short-term wins, but he focused on building a lasting legacy. Moving to the second point is discipline and high standard. He enforced strict disciplines by addressing poor behavior, including drinking culture, and setting high expectations on both on and off the field. The way how he treat against nonsense attitude is by the hairdryer treatments and immediate handling of criticism. For example, if any of the players expose and critique his teammate during the interview with the media, his contract will be terminated automatically. Moving to the third point is adaptability and emotional intelligence. Ferguson varied his management style based on the individual personalities. He recognized that a one-size-fits-all approach would not be effective at all, which he thinks the best way to lead people by showing empathy and emotional intelligence. Let's move to the fourth point, which is attention to details. Sir Alex Ferguson understands the importance of relationship beyond just players. So, he learning the names of all support staff and engaging with them personally by reflect humility, awareness, and respect for all of the person in the organization regardless of their position and rules. Moving to the fifth point is strong work ethic. Sir Alex Ferguson leading by example. Sir Alex Ferguson demonstrates a strong personal work ethic by being the first one alive and the last one to leave during the meetings and training session with all of the players. So, Sir Alex Ferguson believes that by showing a good example will be followed by a good attitude. And last but not least is charisma and influence, which the most important thing that must acquire by the leaders. His charisma, presence and authority were evident, but he balanced with the approachability, as can be seen with his interaction with the media crew and Harvard colleges.
Alright, so for the question 12-18 for the case study 2, to what degree has emotional intelligence played a part in Alex Ferguson's success? So, let's examine how Alex Ferguson's emotional intelligence made him one of the best football leaders. So, his approach wasn't about the rigid rules or empty motivation. It was a masterclass in understanding human psychology. So first, Consider his remarkable ability to adapt to the different personalities. Ferguson didn't just shout or stay silent. He carefully studied each of his players' emotional triggers. For instance, for a strong personalities like Roy Keane, the infamous hair dryer treatment worked because they responded to direct challenges. But for more sensitive players like Cristiano Ronaldo in his early career, Ferguson took a mentor approach, patiently building confidence through private conversations and gradual responsibility. This wasn't inconsistency, it was a strategic emotional intelligence in action. He could read a player's state of mind during training sessions and adjust his communication accordingly, sometimes within the same day. So moving on to the next point, which is something beyond the pitch. Ferguson's social awareness transformed Manchester United's entire culture. He understood that the leadership isn't just about the stars. It's about every person that contributing to the organization's success. By learning the names of the kitchen staff, groundkeepers, and even visiting film crews, he created an environment where everyone felt valued. This had practical benefits too, which is when the support staff feel respected, they will work harder to maintain perfect training pitches or even when to prepare the team meals. That attention to emotional details created a championship level environment where excellence became the standard at every level. So now let's talk about the conflict resolution, where Ferguson's emotional intelligence truly shone. For example, when a player stepped out of the line, his response was immediate but measured. Take the famous case when David Beckham once missed the training. Ferguson kicked a boot that accidentally hit the Beckham's face. Instead of letting the incident fester, Ferguson addressed it directly, disciplined appropriately, then moved forward. This emotional regulation can prevent small issues from becoming the toxic distractions. He knew when to be tough or when to forgive. Striking that delicate balance required deep understanding of human emotions under pressure. So finally, Ferguson's self-awareness also set him apart. Despite his success, he constantly evolved his methods. In his later years, he admitted needing to adjust his approach for the new generation of players by showing remarkable humility for such dominant figure. This growth mindset, combined with his emotional perceptiveness, which allowed him to remain effective across 3 decades of massive changes in football culture. Thank you.
So moving on to the next question, which is 12-19. What do you see as possible problem of varying the leadership approach with different players? This is called situational leadership. The idea is not every worker is the same. Some require more guidance and others can work on their own. So a leader might direct a new worker with clear, simple instruction but allow more freedom to someone who is more experienced. This method for flexibility and can be positive in that it provides support as needed. However, there are some problems, which is one of it is that certain employee may feel unfairly treated. Another situation could be when an employee feels, for instance, if some are getting more attention or more support, the leader is playing like a favorite. Even if it's not true, it makes the presumption of favoritism possible. The other issue could be one of the confusion. If the leader act one way with some people and then act differently with other, the team will be confused as to what to expect. So this uncertainty and confusion will lead to misunderstanding and cause disunity. Another concern could be that the leader may become stressed or tired from always having to manage on an individual basis. It is very taxing to change your style for every individual, especially with a big team. Thus, although it can be a positive thing to change your leadership style, the book does remind you that it needs to be considered very carefully. The leader should be fair and above board and explain why they are using different approaches, so the team can buy into it and trust the process of the leaders.
On to the conclusion, which is a 10-point summary. Emphasis on culture and professionalism. Ferguson actively aimed to change the culture and professionalism within the team, focusing on creating a lasting legacy through strict discipline and the setting of high standards, both on and off the field. Second is managerial grit application. He demonstrated a high concern for production. As example, pursuit of trophies, emphasis on work ethics, and a high concern for people, individualized management style, knowing staff beyond the team, building strong team culture. Next is visionary thinking. Ferguson possessed a clear long-term vision aiming to change the culture and professionalism of the team and create a lasting legacy. Discipline and high standards. He enforced strict discipline by addressing poor behavior and setting high standards both on and off the field, using methods like hair dryer treatment and immediate handling of criticism. Adaptability and emotional intelligence. Ferguson utilized an adaptive leadership style, varying his approach based on players' personalities. Believing a one-size-fits-all approach is ineffective and leading with empathy. The sixth point is emotional intelligence's role in success. Emotional intelligence contributed to his success through an adaptive leadership style, cultural transformation, conflict resolution mastery, and self-awareness and evolution. Seventh is situational leadership. Varying the leadership approach with different players is described as situational leadership, recognizing that not every worker is the same and some require more guidance, while others can work independently. Next is problems of varying leadership approach. Potential issues with varying leadership approach include players feeling unfairly treated, being confused as what to expect, and the leader potentially becoming stressed or too tired. The second last point is attention to details. Ferguson showed attention to detail by understanding relationships beyond players, learning support staff names, and treating every role with humility, awareness, and respect. The last one is strong work ethic, charisma, and influence. He exhibited a strong work ethic, which is first to arrive and last to leave, and encouraged players to emulate it. His charisma, presence, and authority were evident, and he balanced his strong leadership with approachability.